Hey guys, it's me Dina or Borel and welcome on my channel. I know I haven't made a lot, actually I haven't made a video with my face since last October, so you might see some changes, like I dyed my hair. Yeah, I dyed my hair. It's ginger. Probably on the camera you can quite see very well. Well, it's also because the color started to fade off. I have to re-dye it, because that's not my ginger is not my natural color. I decided to do this change on my videos, where the only videos that I will do with my face are gonna be the review videos for both the book reviews and whatever review I'm gonna do in the future, and my regular videos are probably going to be with my PNG avatar. So I haven't made a book review in quite a while because I haven't read a book either in quite a while, but I gathered a book I wanted to have in physical copy for quite a big while actually. In April, at the end of the April, I went to a friend and we went to this like local bookstore that is very popular in Romania. Probably you heard of it, Cărturești. And I gathered a copy of, you probably see it in the title. We're doing No Longer Human review. I'm going to do a review on No Longer Human, maybe one of my favorite books ever. As at the last book review, I'm going to review the book, tell a bit of the plot, and if you should read it or not. And because it's my favorite book, of course I'm going to say that you should read it, but as a trigger warning, it's not very light-hearted, this book. It's actually very dark. It has a lot of trigger warnings, a lot of all of the trigger warnings you could think of. So for that, I'm going to put a trigger warning. It's going to be in the description, probably at the time I'm going to edit, probably around here, I don't know, but you will have trigger warnings from the start. I'm going to show you the book. I can remember if I showed you the book first in my first review, which I will probably leave a card up here or up here because the video is gonna be mirrored. Yeah, I know I made some mistakes in the first book review I did on the Dear Evan Hansen novel, which is basically I gave all the freaking plot basically, and I didn't let you have some points of mystery, and for that I'm sorry. I'm trying to change that. I'm going to show you the book. Unfortunately I don't have the edition, like the one with the pink cover and a very strange man. I have the Romanian version actually. Until I actually bought it, I never knew there is a Romanian translation. I also read it in English. I never read it in Romanian though, so I have to read it in Romanian, but right now I'm going to give it a review on my personal experience with the book. I read in English, of course. I'm going to show you the cover or the book. Here is the book by October-Novemeber. So this is No Longer Human, and this is basically the translation in Romanian if you don't know Romanian, and you probably don't, but the translation for No Longer Human, I guess, is the dezumanizat, I guess. I don't know. Let me focus. Yeah, so this is the book. My review for it is going to be 4.9 out of 5 stars, which is a very big review. And I'm going to tell you why I gave such a big review. As I said, because it also covers a lot of so many trigger points, so many dark points, and I'm going to tell you why actually. If you know a thing about Dazai Osamu or Osamu Dazai, it's that beside that he was a Japanese author, he also committed with his wife, which is also a thing in this book. And if you are an anime fan, you know that there is this anime Bungo Stray Dogs that its characters are based on Japanese, and not only Japanese but also British and American writers, and their powers, because they also have powers, are their all known like books. They're very well-known books, and Dazai's power, it's no longer human, and that power basically nullifies every ability, like every power, which is kinda intersectates with the plot of the book. I'm going to tell you now the plot too, so spoilers for that, big spoilers. I'm going to try not to give any surprise points. So this book centers around this character Oba, and basically his life from childhood till very early 20s, kind of. So the book is basically in 3 chapters. The first chapter covers his childhood, the second chapter covers his teenagehood, and the last chapter covers his adulthood. And as I stated before, it's not a very digestible story. It's actually very dark. So basically, Oba from his early childhood basically feels like he is in a prison, like his body is a prison, and he basically just doesn't belong here. Like, he is aware of his surroundings, his mortality, which not every child should basically be aware of, if this is even understandable. Like, no other child basically thinks that they one day will die, even if that day it's very close or very far away, but Oba does. And also he has this thing with his mates, because yeah, he has mates, because it was a very common thing back in those periods to have mates. But well, he has this thing with the mates. Basically he gets, I will try to put the word there, by a maid, and he doesn't report it because he thinks that it's useless anyway. So he kind of develops a PTSD with this thing too, and this thing follows him until adulthood, if I'm not wrong. And then the second chapter covers around his addictions and his first love, around a girl he basically falls in love with. But again, his addictions come into place because he starts to smoke, he starts to take drugs, he is very introverted, like he has very few friends, and those friends are basically just a facade for him. Like, he thinks that they all are friends with him for like booze and stuff like this, you know. But he falls in love, as I said, with a girl, and things go very well for a while, until he decides to basically and this girl kind of comes along. It's basically the plan doesn't work, because he survives but she doesn't. She dies, and he is kind of heartbroken, and he goes on with his life, because for that brief period of time he also kind of dropped the idea of consummating illegal stuff like smoking and shit. But yeah, and then we are glanced with the third chapter and the last chapter, that is basically his late life, his adulthood. He actually goes to university, which I found it very interesting, because it also portrays actually the life of a very normal person that with depression may have, because a lot of persons have depression and they still go to university, they still have to pay taxes, so this hits very close to home. His life at university is basically another depression road, because thinking that he might take this path because he is going to be a cartoonist, he takes this path and basically thinks that everything is going to be fine, but it's not, and he gets himself into booze again and smoking and more intense. but then again he meets someone that actually stops his addictions for a very big while, and everything goes well. But another girl comes into place and he basically cheats on this girl, and some stuff happens. He loses both girls. I'm not going to reveal in what ways he loses both of the girls, and he basically is doomed to be alone because he thinks that love just isn't for him, and we basically never know what happens with him because the story basically ends. I like the story started because the story starts with narrator, let's say, that basically sees three photos with Oba, and that's how this chapter is going to place us well, because there is a photo of Oba as a child, as a teenage boy, and as a man, and these photos are basically give a description of how his life was. So yeah, this is the plot of No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. It's a very dark read, as I said. It's a very hard to digest book. So if you are very triggerable, if this is a word, by these things like assault, drug use, smoking, death, and a lot of other stuff, you should not read it. But if you are very interested into reading it and get yourself an opinion, you can read it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite books because it hits very, very close to home, because a lot, not all of course, not all, but a lot of things that happen to Oba happen to me, and it hits very close to home actually, to basically you know that feeling when you basically relate to a character in every media, like cartoon, anime, TV show, book, film, whatever. Yeah, that's how I relate to Oba. Of course, not the very the darkest things, but a lot of them, like being a kind of an introvert, not feeling very close to someone, feeling depressive, not wanting to get up, thoughts of suicide, and a lot of things. So yeah, this is my review. Give it a try. Maybe you like it, maybe you will hate it. There is no middle ground, I guess, for this book. You either hate it because it's a very grim book, or you either love it because it hits very close to home, and basically the style of Dazai Osamu is not for every man or woman or non-binary people, because we are very inclusive here. This was my review. I hope I could give you a very more in depth, because maybe you thought that reading it and you didn't know if you should read it. But yeah, here is my review. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe with the bell to receive a notification every time I post. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, because I post there my life to-day updates. I was Dina, and I will see you, I hope, soon. Goodbye!